Hello and welcome to this brief introduction to how layered images work with the newest version of RAGS. This will be in the official RAGS 1.3 release, and thanks goes out to Mr. Phantom on my forum. He provided a bunch of really great perfectly designed layered images for testing this, so I'd like to go ahead and pull up my RAGS game that I've created using his layered images and show you how the new layered image system is going to work. So let's go ahead and load. Where is it? Here we go. Alright. There we go. Okay. So what I've done over here is loaded up all of the images with transparencies, as you can see here, that Mr. Phantom provided. And you'll notice on our Rooms tab now, we no longer have a layered pic. We used to have two images, or two pictures that you could input here, and the description used to be vertical, now it's horizontal. I think that looks a little nicer, it's easier to see. Also on the player object, if you were to select a image, we used to have two images, now we only have one, because in order to set up layers, we now have to use this multimedia tab at the bottom of the screen here. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. What you see here is we have a background gatehouse picture. I've already put some layers on it. And I'd really like to show you one without any layers. Let's go ahead and remove these layers first, and then I'll show you what we're going to do. All of these commands can be done dynamically as well. But if you have a base image and you want to put some layers on it, these are samples that are provided with the gates on it. So let's go ahead and start with this base image, and we can put any of these additional images on here. Now, one thing I'd like you to see is the barrel has a sack on it. Let me go ahead and get rid of that as well. Okay, so the way you're going to handle layers is you'll pick your base image on the left hand side. We're going to start with this base image, and all you have to do is go over to your multimedia library and select a transparent layer and drag and drop it over. Let's start with the gate. Let's go ahead and close the gate. So we just drag that over and drop it in your layered image, and now you'll see your picture. The nice thing about this is it will resize correctly, because Mr. Phantom designed all of these images with the same canvas size. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick, just so I can kind of make my point here. Let me make this a little bigger. Yep. So if you go into your image adjust form, you can see that all of these pictures are, well, this picture that's selected is 640 by 480. If we look at the gate, you'll see the gate image, although it's only a small image, it's actually sized at 640 by 480. This is important at this point in RAGS development, because RAGS, if the canvas is the same, RAGS, when someone expands or shrinks your image, everything gets resized together correctly. And this is a fairly easy thing to do. If you're creating a lot of transparent layers, you're probably using Paint Shop or something else. There's actually several free programs that can do this as well. But as you're designing your layers, you want to make sure the canvas is the same, just for RAGS, because you can't dynamically position like you can in Photoshop in the RAGS designer and player. So every image is 640 by 480. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want, and they're transparent. So let's go ahead and close out of our picture adjust form. So right now we have the background gatehouse and closed gates. So let's go ahead and throw the town guard up there, and there he goes. And now let's put our barrel on here first, and then we'll put a sack. Now, one thing I noticed is the sack kind of has this big black circle under it, so I don't really like that showing up. So if you select the sack and move it up, then you change the order in which they're drawn. The way RAGS is going to draw your image, it'll draw your base image first, And then your layers, transparent layers, go on top starting at the first item on down. So if we were to swap the town guard and the gates, for example, you'd see that doesn't look right. The gates are on top of the town guard. So let's go ahead and move that back down. So I like the way the sack looks a little better there. Let's take the spear and drop it, because the spear is in fact leaning against the sack and the barrel. So that looks pretty good there. And then we have the big red knights, and we can drag those and drop them on here. And there you go. So obviously if we move the knights up to a point behind the gates, it doesn't look right either. So anyway, we'll pull that back down. Okay, so there we go. That's how the game looks right now. Now on my player object, I created a bunch of dynamic commands we can do. For example, if we want to clear all the layers off that base image, this is our new command, image clear layered images, and you select your base image, which is the background gatehouse. If you look over here, that's this image, the background gatehouse. And these images are all in the layered collection. So let's go back over here and see what else we can do. So if we've cleared them off and we want to add a closed gate back in, we use this new command, image add layered image. So we select our base image that we're modifying and which image we are adding or removing. In this case we're adding. We're going to add gates closed. Now when you add, it's going to stick that layer at the very end. So that could be a problem if you have the closed gate that'll go over your knight, for example. But if you've cleared all of your layers, you can start adding them on one at a time, which is what I'm showing here for my demonstration. And you continue adding on and on and on like that. Okay, so if you want to selectively remove items, you can also do that. So here is our new command, image remove layered image. So we're going to remove from this base image the knight's layer. So you can remove one layer at a time. And then I was asked, before I did the latest beta release, to add another function. It's a replace function, so you don't have to rebuild all of your layers. So for example, if we call replace layered image, we're going to do the same base image as we've been doing, but this time we want to replace gates closed with gates open. Now obviously this command won't work if gates closed is not layered on there yet. So if I can't find gates closed.png, this command will do essentially nothing, which is fine. And then we can replace open with closed. So let's go ahead and run this game, and we'll take a look at it. Let's see what happens here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of our debug form. Let's pull this up where we can see. Okay, so here we go. Excuse me. Here's our room that we're currently in, and here's what I just happened to leave my my player portrait as. Actually, before I do this, there's one other thing I wanted to point out. Let me show you this. If we go to my player portrait, background gatehouse with gate closed. So let's go ahead and modify that, because what I wanted to show you is, if for example I drop the town guard on this layer, now wherever I have this image selected, you'll see that reflected here, because I've selected background gatehouse with gate closed, and look, there he is. So it's going to draw your layers automatically. So if you are selecting an image, for example this, and you say, hey, wait a second, I don't remember adding him on there, you might want to go ahead and just check your multimedia tab and see if you have a layer on there. If you want it just to be your default image, you just remove your layer, you go back here, and there he is. Let's go ahead and just stick that guy on there anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and debug the game. Oh yeah, and I wanted to point out, on this room, it's drawing your background gatehouse with everything we've added, the spear, the sack. Anyway, so that's how you can preview your images and make sure you have your layers initially set up the way you want. So let's go ahead and debug it. And I'll move my window over here. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear the layers first. There we go. And now dynamically we're still at our base image now without any layers. Let's go ahead and add some of our layers back. So there's our gate. There's those knights again. Let's add the sack first, because I like the look better when I do a sack and then the barrel. And so there you go. So you can dynamically in-game add and remove layers. Everything gets updated correctly. Let's go ahead and remove the sack. There you go. So I just removed one item. Let's go ahead and remove those knights. And there, now we've got a good clear view of the gates, and we have a barrel here. So let's go ahead and do the replace closed with open. Wow, look at that. The gate's opened. Let's go ahead and replace open with closed. There we go. And actually, you know what would be helpful? So let me go ahead and put those knights back in there so that you can see that our layering does not get screwed up with the replace command. So let's go ahead and replace closed with open. There we go. And you'll notice the knights are still on the top layer. So we've successfully replaced. Now if you were to replace closed with open again, there is no closed. It's going to do nothing. So it won't hurt your program. It may just confuse you if you were expecting them to be closed and they weren't. There we go. Okay, so great. So that's the introduction to how layering is going to work in RAGS and what you can do with it. It's pretty powerful, and I hope a lot of people start using it and make some exciting games. Thanks for your time. Bye.